So the Los Angeles Lakers got absolutely exposed against the San Antonio Spurs. And what's crazy about this is not the first time this has happened this season. In fact, every single time the Lakers lose, it's basically the same exact way. The defense struggles. They're unable to contain the ball. They're unable to, from an athletic perspective, do things you have to do. The Lakers continue to struggle with this stuff, man. The Lakers look old and unathletic out there at times. And again, they're being exposed. JJ Redick talks about this. And one of the things we're going to do in this video is we're going to listen to JJ Redick, and I'm going to show you guys some of the tape to expose some of the players specifically. Although he calls out what's wrong with the team, he doesn't call these players out. But the tape doesn't lie. You know, this is consistently happening. Just listen into this, and then we'll just talk about this on the other side.
Just didn't do a good job of getting back in transition. I mean, there's a lot of things that stood out. I think being able to contain the basketball is probably the most difficult thing for our team right now. The things that help you win on the margins, we're just not very good at right now. We don't crash. We can't force a lot of turnovers. We did a terrible job at the end of the first quarter and the second quarter of end of quarter stuff. So that immediately we're behind the 8 ball there. And if a team we're going to be really in trouble.
So there you guys have it, right? JJ Redick essentially is putting it out there that there's 3 things that the Lakers are kind of struggling with. He says the ball containment is the biggest issue by far, right? Those are his words specifically. He's saying as a team, we didn't do a good job getting back on transition defense, right? He's talking about the defense specifically. The third thing is we don't crash and we don't force turnovers, which part of crashing and part of forcing turnovers is athleticism, right? It's effort. Lakers don't do any of these 3 things. And I want to talk about this. I want to watch some of the tape and I want to call it out as it is. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about just ball containment. And if you guys don't know what ball containment it is, it's basically a perimeter defender and him being able to force where that guy that he's covering essentially goes. The easiest way to score is right down the middle, right? Essentially straight to the basket, 2 points, easiest way to score. And if you're a team that's bad, or if you're a team that has guys that may not play good defense, specifically perimeter defense, this is easily the biggest way that a defense gets exposed. Rui Hachimura is one of the worst when it comes to ball containment. Rui Hachimura, and I like him on the offensive side, but the tape does not lie. On this first play right here, Castle's just going to quickly beat Rui Hachimura. He quickly gets to the basket. And Rui Hachimura, there's nothing he can do on this play. Some people might watch this play right here and watch that Rui gives up 2 points and say, hey, that's not terrible. He's kind of right there. He almost blocks the shot. But the thing is, Rui, literally in every single game, he's always just, right there. And he's always just a little bit late. And being a little bit late means you're late at the end of the day. You're giving up buckets. And again, go watch Rui Hachimura's tape. This is happening all day, all the time. And I think it's getting to the point where teams are actually attacking Rui Hachimura. On this next play, Champagnie, another drive, right on Rui Hachimura, just easy 2 points. Once again, to me, you have to do a better job being able to stop and essentially contain the ball, right? Force it where you want it to go. The Lakers struggle, and Rui Hachimura is definitely, in my opinion, the biggest factor to this. But it's not just Rui Hachimura. Even Gabe Vincent struggles at times. When he gets lined up on guys, he struggles sometimes. He gets powered down, and guys are able to score on him as well. So it's not just Rui Hachimura. It's Gabe Vincent sometimes. Even Austin Reeves and Luka are half a step slow. Now with Austin Reeves and Luka, there's an excuse for those guys. Those guys are superstar players. Both guys are Luka's a top 5 player. Austin Reeves, top 15 to 20 player in the NBA. So those guys have excuses to be half a step slow. Of course, you don't always want to be half a step slow. And we have seen with Luka, he has forced a lot of turnovers this season. Maybe more so a week plus, going back over a week, as opposed to the last couple of games. But Luka has forced turnovers, which is all you can kind of ask for a guy that's going to, essentially be your 40-point a night scorer. Austin Reeves does a pretty good job on defense, gives a lot of effort. So if those guys lack on defense, I think it's okay. But having guys like Gabe Vincent and Rui Hachimura who cannot contain the ball, that's not all right, right? So to me, the fact that the Lakers are struggling with ball containment, and the biggest thing with having Rui Hachimura out there is, there's nights where he doesn't really provide you a whole lot. And yesterday was a great example of this. Rui Hachimura played 31 minutes. And in those 31 minutes, he took a total of 4 shots. He had 8 total points. but he also gave up a lot of points. He was slow to rotate at times. So when he's slow to rotate and kind of get back over there to play defense, he's giving up 3 points. He's allowing easy drives. So although Rui Hachimura might only have scored 8 points, on the defensive side, he's going to give up 20 points. And again, this happens every single night with Rui Hachimura. To me, Rui should be coming off the bench. I think it would be the smartest thing for the Lakers. And that's a different conversation we'll have a little bit later on in this video. Another issue with the Lakers is going to be just bad transition defense. And this could be passed along across a lot of different guys. On this play here, Champagnie is going to be running right down the middle. And you can tell that no one really picks him up, right? LeBron James initially takes the man on the three-point line. And LeBron at some point does realize it. And he does try to, maybe undercut this or get in front of it. And I don't know if it's just he takes a bad angle. And I don't know if it's LeBron James is getting old. I do think this is a part of what's happening. LeBron James is getting old. So you have moments like this where he takes like a bad angle. And this is not a one-time thing. There's multiple times where it's bad transition defense. We have to call this out at the end of the day. There's another play at the end of the game. And this one, I think, kind of was the dagger to this game. It was an 11-point game. The Lakers kind of brought it back a little bit. It was an 11-point game. You needed to get a stop in this exact moment. And for some reason, LeBron James is on Castle. That part makes sense. You're going to get a screen. And then for some reason, nor Rui or LeBron step up to Castle to just kind of give him the space. And he hits the three. And to me, that was kind of the dagger. To me, this is just bad. And again, it goes beyond the defensive side, right? Beyond transition, beyond ball containment. It's like the basic things like rebounding the ball. When you look at the Los Angeles Lakers right now, when it comes to rebounding, they struggle, right? They are 28th in offensive rebounds. And they are the worst when it comes to advanced stats. They are the worst in terms of box outs. LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, these are the guys that should be getting a lot of these rebounds. These are the guys who should be chasing some of these things down. And again, I'm not saying this is only on Rui and LeBron, because there's moments where like Austin Reeves just gets out jumped. Lakers, one of the worst teams when it comes to boxing out. That just kind of tells you that they're just not consistent. They're just not doing what you got to do to win basketball games. And, they're the 7th worst team in steals, and JJ Redick kind of points that out as well. I would make the argument right now, the Los Angeles Lakers, the way they're kind of constructed and the way they're at least utilizing some of the guys, I think it's the wrong way. I don't think Gabe Vincent should be getting minutes over a guy like Nick Smith Jr. I don't think Nick Smith is as consistent as Gabe Vincent. I understand Vincent has the, playoff experience, and I totally understand that. But if Gabe Vincent's going to play 14 minutes and he takes one shot, if Rui Hachimura plays almost 31 minutes and he takes 4 shots, the fact that these guys are kind of liabilities out there on the defensive side, you're better off saying we're going to go forward with Jared Vanderbilt. And we're going to let Vanderbilt play. And, Vandy might not score a whole lot or take a whole lot of shots either, but he will give you some of the best perimeter defense you will get out there. Again, I think for the Lakers, they are making a massive mistake with kind of the lineup and approach that they've taken, right? I think Marcus Smart should be starting for the Lakers. I think Rui Hachimura should be coming off the bench. At this point, there is no excuses for the Lakers not to go forward with that lineup. Marcus Smart yesterday made a huge impact. And I know he scored 26 points, which is great, but on the defensive side, Marcus Smart made a huge impact for the Lakers. You cannot overlook what Marcus Smart provides. And if you don't have Marcus Smart out there, I think actually he played a lot of minutes, but like if you don't have Marcus Smart out there and you have Rui and Luka and LeBron and Austin Reeves, you have 4 or 5 guys that aren't going to be able to play the type of defense where you can force turnovers. You can force bad buckets, and you can force missed shots. Those 4 guys, and I know LeBron in the past was a great defender, but he is not that. We can have that conversation. And that's not me saying I think LeBron James sucks, and there's not a role for LeBron James, but it's just factual. It's now been multiple videos where I've talked about how the Lakers defense sucks. And I finally feel like people are starting to recognize this as well, that the defense sucks. The effort is very low, and it's just an unathletic team, right? And it's not unathletic like across the board, right? Jackson Hayes is pretty athletic. You can bring in some of these other guys, right? Marcus Smart does a pretty good job with hustling, and he may not be super athletic, but like he's super smart on defense. The Lakers have guys, right? Jared Vanderbilt's not super athletic, but again, he's a good perimeter defender. Adolfo has good athleticism. But when you have the lineup of LeBron and Rui and Luka and Reeves and even DeAndre Ayton, right? Like those guys are not really that athletic, and you don't need the athleticism from DeAndre Ayton because he can still kind of play defense. It's just not athletic enough, right? And I think this is a huge crutch right now for the Lakers, where if you want to have real success against OKC, against the Spurs, you want to beat the Celtics and the Pistons, and if you want to be able to beat some of these good teams, you have to figure out how you're gonna, from a minutes perspective, get guys in from a rotation perspective. And I should also just throw this out there before we wrap up this part of it and we get into Herb Jones here. There is a real chance that Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick have already talked about this, and there's a real chance that they've said, hey, what we want to do right now is we want Gabe Vincent to play. We want Rui Hachimura to, have 31 minutes every single night because we want these guys to score and statistically look good in the hopes that we can package these guys up and trade them, for Herb Jones or for Andrew Wiggins or for one of these 3-and-D type of players, right? Maybe it's Jonathan Kuminga. There's a real chance that this has already kind of been talked about in the back, and we don't know that part of it. But if JJ Redick is unable to make changes, the Lakers are not going to have success this season. And it's still so early on in the season that they can figure it out, and they will at some point. The second half of the season is always way more important than the first half. In the first half, you're just trying to figure out rotations. You're trying to figure out your team. The second half is where it really matters, right? Now, Herb Jones is a guy that a lot of Lakers fans have said maybe he comes over to the Lakers. There's a chance he does not. There's actually a report that came out by a Lakers insider. Apparently, the Pelicans are not interested in trading Herb Jones to the Lakers. This is coming out from Dan, who works for The Athletic. I'm going to actually read to you guys exactly what this guy said. And he's essentially putting it out there, right? He's saying my sources are essentially putting this out. So he wrote this for The Athletic, and he says it in this article. He says the following: the player most often linked to the Lakers as a target by rival scouts and executives is New Orleans wing Herbert Jones, who cannot be traded until January 14th because they signed a 3-year extension with the Pelicans in July. This is the interesting part. He says, while Lakers fans can fantasize about some all-out liquidation of the 3-win Pelicans roster, team and league sources tell The Athletic that New Orleans is not interested in moving Jones. And considering what LA would have to offer in a deal, expiring contracts, and a single first-round pick, the Pelicans almost certainly wouldn't engage at that price point. So this guy is putting it out there, right? Saying that according to team and league sources, he's saying the Pelicans essentially are not interested in moving Herb Jones, right? This means, and I know that team sources and league sources are saying Herb Jones is not going to be traded. And we'll see if there isn't something the Lakers could potentially give the Pelicans that doesn't potentially move that a little bit, right? Who knows what the Lakers can end up doing as the season kind of continues. Who knows if the Pelicans are willing to say, hey, we've already sold some of these guys and let's just go ahead and sell Herb Jones as well. Let's just stack up the draft picks. Who knows what could happen as the season kind of continues. Now, I do agree partly with what Dan is saying because, look, the Pelicans did lock in Herb Jones literally just in this summer, right? Just right before the season kind of begun. For them to actually have locked him in, that means they like him as a basketball player. And look, if the Lakers want him, why would the Pelicans not want to keep him, right? This is a guy that's a good basketball player. Now, you can make the argument maybe he's not on the timeline of a team like the Pelicans, which in that instance, I could definitely understand what people are kind of saying. I still feel the best thing the Pelicans can do is essentially keep Herb Jones, right? If they want to try winning, as soon as next season, it would make sense. Now, if the Pelicans aren't looking to win next season, which that's another conversation, it definitely makes sense. If that's the case, then absolutely sell Herb Jones. And I'm not sure if it makes sense for the Lakers to say, hey, we're going to give up our first round pick and Herb Jones is the guy that we want. I don't know if that makes 100% sense. Or if it makes more sense for the Lakers to try to package up 3 or 4 players. Maybe it's some expiring contracts, right? Maybe a team just wants to try to clear, or maybe the Pelicans just want to clear some cap space, which again, I don't know if that's true given they just signed Herb Jones in this offseason. But even more than that, maybe they want to get younger and try to build for the future, right? I think Adol Thero has some potential. I think he's flashed a little bit. And, maybe he plays a little bit more, and Dalton Connect's another guy that has flashed a little bit in the past. I don't really know what the value of those two guys is. Maybe it's Austin Reeves that you have to consider. And, if you're going to give Austin Reeves, I think on the other side of it, the Pelicans would have to give up more than just Herb Jones. But even then, I don't think that makes sense for the Lakers, right? Austin Reeves is a key guy for the Lakers. And I'm going to wrap it up with this final thought that I personally have. The Lakers could look at this season as a season where it's kind of washed and, yeah, they're going to try to win, but they don't want to try to go all in to win just this season. And I say that because, LeBron James's contract, let's be honest, it's hindering the Lakers at this point. We heard LeBron James's agent, Rich Paul, 2 days back, came out and kind of took some shots at the Lakers, right? He kind of called out the Lakers, said they're not good enough. We don't know the conversations that Rich Paul, Rob Pelinka, LeBron James have kind of had about LeBron James's future. LeBron could easily feel like, hey, I want to continue to play. And Rob Pelinka could say, well, I don't want to pay you over $50 million. And even more than that, we don't know the conversations that were had before the offseason, right? Or before the season began, right? In the offseason. We don't know the conversations that were actually had. For all we know, Rob Pelinka could have told LeBron James, I need you to take a pay cut so we can make some moves, to get ready for the season. And LeBron James, rightfully so, probably could have said, I don't want to take a pay cut. I want my $50 million. Again, obviously a speculation, but we don't know what Rob Pelinka is thinking. He could, for all we know, look at it like, hey, LeBron's contract expires at the end of the season. We're going to let him walk, but we'll have $50 million. And we'll have that flexibility going into next season. And the Lakers have access to more first-round picks when the offseason comes, right? So there's a chance that Rob Pelinka is looking to build the Lakers out for the long run. Maybe he feels like we're not going to beat OKC or the Pistons anyways this season. So I do think that's something we do have to kind of factor in as we go forward. But if that's the case, if the Lakers do feel like this, then let's play some of the younger guys, right? Get Nick Smith in there. And again, maybe the Lakers want Gabe Vincent to play so they can trade him. That could make sense as well. But again, the Lakers have to fix some of what we're seeing if they are actually interested in trying to win this season, which I think they should still try to do. Anything can happen, right? OKC, maybe another team knocks them out. Who knows? Anything can happen. Can the Lakers beat OKC in a 7-game series right now? I don't think they can. I don't think they're athletic enough. I don't think on the defensive side they're good enough. I do think they can match OKC in terms of points scored, but if you're relying on points scored, one bad night, the game's over, right? And so to me, I think the Lakers have to figure some things out as they go forward. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I want to give a big shout out to all you guys that have supported this channel. And then, watch the videos and are always commenting, man. Huge shout out to all you guys. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.